Hey, everybody. Good evening. I need to hydrate. Page unresponsive. Wait. Yes, we're going to wait. Hey, how's everybody doing this evening? Ava's gone for the evening. She's in rehearsal for a play. It's going to be starting, I think, in September sometime. They're working out the details of it. Let's go live. There we are. Hey, TikTok. Let's see if I can figure out how to get this situated here, y'all. I just got my evening walk in, and then I soaked outside in a tub for a little bit and got my body all clean and stuff. But good evening. It's kind of dark over here. What's going on? Let me get this situated here. Maybe that's a little better. Oh, I don't even know. I should have probably worked with what am I doing, y'all? Maybe that's better. We had a lot of storms and rain over here in East Point between about 4 o'clock and maybe 6 o'clock or whatever. I had to get my walk in with an umbrella. But good evening, everybody. I ain't got nothing to say, so if you want something profound and life changing, go on over there to the other 147,000 people online right now. It's still cloudy here in East Point. So anyhow, I'm sitting here having me a little sip of coconut water. Thank you over there on TikTok for liking the live. And I started about 3 years ago buying these little 12 carton packs of the. Oh, I can't do that on TikTok. You can't advertise stuff on TikTok. It's your name brand. They'll just put you on suspension. But anyhow, I started drinking this coconut water. Put my hand up over here. You can do it on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. I mean, YouTube. Just can't TikTok. But I started buying these about 3 years ago. And I have me one of them every day. And it's got sugar in it, but it's all natural, 60 calories. It's got 14 grams of sugar, but it's all natural sugar from coconut. And it got good for electrolytes and stuff. But anyhow, let me take that down. Yeah, and that brand, that Vita brand, I like that. And I've tried the other brands; they're a little cheaper, but yeah. So anyway, y'all, I was just thinking earlier today. It just seems like there's a lot to do, doesn't it? And just in our daily lives of just getting stuff done. I had a big dumpster set out in the driveway over at the Key Roadhouse off of Moreland, where I'm trying to rehab this little rental house that we've had for a few years. And so I'd made plans for several of us to get over there because we got just all the floors we took out and we piled up, and there's just a big old pile in the backyard. So I'm like, we need to get all this out of here. And so we was planning on doing that today, but then here in Atlanta, we just had rains all afternoon. So I've got an eye doctor appointment downtown at the Big Emory building, 550 Peachtree, right by the Fox down there. There's something weird going on with this eye right here. It's got nothing to do with eyelid surgery. There's something that's weird that's going on with it. And I think I noticed about maybe a couple of months ago, I started seeing these bright lights over to the side, and when I would jerk, I'd be sitting there, and when it would happen, it would startle me almost. And it was like a shooting star. And I do like that, even sitting out in public, or something, like a crazy person, like I was trying to move my head to see what's going on. And I knew then I probably should go get my eyes tested because I had cataract surgery on both eyes. And then there was LASIK on top of the cataract. And, and they take your, whatever that little cover is off, and they put you different covers on or whatever. I'm not familiar with all that. But I think I may have a tear in this eye right here because when I went to do the follow-up on my eyelid operation, they check your eyes and, you cover one, you A, D, B, Q, da, 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 and, and I'm basically, after my cataract and my LASIK, recalibrating. I had LASIK the first time when I was 50. And that lasted until I was 60. And then by the time I was 60, it was totally gone. And then I was going to go back and get LASIK done again, which was pretty expensive. And then they did all the tests and all, yeah, it wouldn't work on your eyes now. They didn't got to whatever. So, but anyhow, when I went last week to do my follow-up on my eyelid appointment, they had me to read they did a scan of both my eyes and had me to do the chart on the wall, where you hold that thing, one eye's closed. You read through one eye, read through. Well, usually after that surgery, I'm about 20/20 in both eyes. This eye right here, when I went to do that, she said, read. And I'm like, I can't see nothing. And she's like, just any of it, the top line, the bottom. I said, I can't make out any of it. And she kept, twitching the numbers. I'm like, I can't read any of it. But not no big one, not no. So it's just a blur. And she's like, we need to get you in to have you an emergency appointment to look at that eye. Something's went on there. But it wasn't nothing to do with eyelid surgery. I think whatever that little cover they put over your eye, I think it slipped or got cut or a piece of dirt hit it or something messed with it. So now I'm hoping they tell me like, well, we can go back in there and operate or do something. But I guess it would be better to go through life with one eye than no eye at all. So anyway, there's that going on. But, I think I've come to realize that in life, there's always something going on. There's always something. And I know for me that there was an old gospel song Mama and them used to sing in church about, they would sing years ago about one day at a time, sweet Jesus. That's all I'm asking from you. And it really is, you just kind of have one day at a time. Just take one day at a time. Whatever will be, as Doris Day used to sing, que sera, sera. Good evening, everybody. Eddie William Sellers coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia, over here on TikTok. And sitting here this evening just kind of piddling and babbling, and I've got my walk in, I've got my bath in. I was going to go out and sit in the garden house and maybe do a little video or do a live from sitting outside. But I don't know. I just figured I'd sit in my dining room and do a little talk this evening. So good evening, everybody. Hope you're doing okay. Hope you had a good day. I'm just looking at all these names keeps flashing through here on TikTok. So anyhow, and then I thought also we have to pace ourselves just in life in general, because it seems like there's a lot to do, don't it? At least for me, I'm in this season in 2025. I said at the end of last year in 2024, I said maybe 2024 may have been the best year of my entire life. It was just such a wonderful year, so much good stuff. Me and Jill and Savannah stayed and took road trips to Key West and stayed in Ritz-Carlton and went to New York City a couple of times. And just everything was just like a wonderful year. And this year, every year kind of takes on its own life. It's almost like every day takes on its own life. You don't, just kind of, you're just living in it. And so it just seems like there's a lot going on and to do. And I think part of that is to have the Key Road house. I wasn't thinking it was going to be that major of a rehab. And oh my God, we done tore all the floors out. We just keep tearing and digging and finding more and more. And so that's always there. And then aside from that, Ava stays so busy. I was talking to my daughter Heather earlier. She's going to come and stay at our house this weekend. So Boom and Gracie will be able to stay home. And Heather just lives 5 minutes from me on College Park over here. Historic College Park, as they call it, in the neighborhood they live in. So Friday, Ava and I are checking in to a hotel in Macon, and then we're going to stay down there the weekend and come back Sunday. Some kind of art festival, Pride, out on something, that she's involved with down there at a theater. And I said, well, why don't I go with you, and we'll just I can walk around in downtown Macon and find a little coffee shop or get a bite to eat, hang out down there for the weekend. And then, hey, everybody, good evening. Good evening. Good to see y'all. And then on, Labor Day is coming up in a couple of weeks. And then on the 2nd of September, there's this group, I guess. I don't know what to refer to them as. This group that's flying Ava and I to New York City, and we're going to be there for 2 days. And they're paying for our airfare and paying for our 2 nights in a hotel and giving us a little stipend. Is that how you say it? Or just giving us some money to eat on and to have a little cab fare and stuff. And they're going to videotape an interview with us about our relationship and the transition that our relationship went through with once Ava decided to transition from male to female. And I don't know if it's a documentary, a podcast, it's film, it's a recording though, and of an interview. And I was thinking today, for me, I don't know how to be anything other than just what I am. I don't know how to act this way or that way or put on this, but I've just found that the easiest thing for us always is just be whoever you are, in whatever way you are. So, but I was thinking, I'm like, man, that's a pretty good bit of money to pay just to have a little time to interview a couple. You're going to fly them to New York and put them in a hotel. And I mean, it's a pretty good bit of little money to do that. And, yeah, so there's that. And then the month after in October for spring break, and I think this may be the 4th year in a row that on Savannah spring break, we basically go and spend a week in Manhattan. And some of y'all that follow me remember the first time Heather and Jill, my 2 daughters, had never been to New York City, or my grandson Caleb either. And so the only way we could do it, the first time we went, I bought everybody, Heather, Aunt, Jill, Savannah, Chance, Caleb, me, Ava, I forget how many. We could only do it if we all flew up on that Friday and flew back late that Sunday, so everybody get back to work, get back to school. But I took them all to New York City for a weekend, and oh my God, it would maybe have been the best trip we'd ever been on. To be there with all my family, Heather and Jill, and all my grandkids. And I'm walking them through Times Square, and we're getting slices of pizza, and we're going out to, I think we went out to the Statue of Liberty. We went out to the Statue of Liberty. Oh my God, I've been out there so many times. I'm like, but it's always new to first timers in New York City. And but anyhow, they fell in love with New York and New York City, and so every year since then, we went back for almost a week on Savannah school break, and because Chance's on a different school system than Savannah, for some reason they have a school break together in February, in winter, whatever. It's weird. So Jill takes Chance back to New York City with Savannah and Caleb, and they go back by themselves without Pawpaw. And but they go twice a year. So yeah, so now I got that coming up in October, and so it just seems like a lot, like a lot's going on. And I forget what else. There's a couple other things I can't really think about it. And then once this play starts, I think it's going to run for maybe a whole month out at this theater in DeKalb County. I'm not going to try to say what theater it is. So Ava will be busy all that. Even when we fly to New York here in a couple of weeks to do the interview, I told Ava, I said, well, we could stretch that out to 3 or 4 days and, just just get us a Marriott room for an extra 2 or 3 days and just kind of stay in New York for a little longer. And they was like, no, we can't do that. I've got to get back. I've got to get back that second day because we're still going to be in rehearsals for the play. And I'm like, oh, okay. So she just has to kind of get back. But life's fun when it's busy. I'm not saying any of that to complain. Life is just fun when it's busy. I remember y'all talking about exciting. I remember when we were in New York City, and I was looking at the stuff coming up. We were in New York City. I got a call from the Harris campaign. Wanted to know, we were flying back that Sunday to Atlanta. The Harris campaign wanted to know if I would be interested in being at the Lakewood campaign event. And I told him, I said, well, we're flying into Atlanta. I think it was like at 12. And I said, and the event started at 1. And I'm like, I don't know if I would have the time, if I could, if the plane's late, if it don't take, I like to come because Lakewood's just right here by the house. And so anyhow, we flew into Atlanta. Talking about exciting. I had coordinated with my daughter, Heather. I said, Heather, you need to pick us up at the airport. You need to drop Ava and I off at Lakewood Amphitheater and just take us from the airport straight to the thing. She picked us up. We got over there straight to Lakewood Amphitheater, went through bypassed all the crowds to the Harris people and said, well, we hear they took us right on in, give us press passes, put us over there with those talking heads from CNN and MSNBC. And it was just so exciting to be in the kind of the thrust of life, just like that, just being planes and rushing through traffic and enjoying life. And so on my morning post this morning, Heather says, I was strolling through TikTok and heard my name. I bet your ears is burning, ain't it? There's an old saying in South when people are talking about your ears start burning. But anyhow, in doing the interview about trans people in a couple of weeks from now, flying up to New York City, on my morning post, I had mentioned that in the scripture, the Bible, there's one place in the Bible where I think Paul said that we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ, the propitiation for our sins, that he advocates to the Father for us on our behalf, that whole concept. And then I went on to say about if Jesus was an advocate and everybody's, that claims to be Christians, like, I just want to be more like him. I just want to be more like Jesus. Well, Jesus is an advocate, for the downtrodden, for the weary, for the brokenhearted, for the people who's going through hard times. He's an advocate to the Father, at least if you're looking at the theory of how Jesus is perceived in spirituality. So knowing that, if we're to be like him, shouldn't we be advocates? And I look at the interview coming up in New York City in a couple of weeks as Ava and I's way to advocate for the other trans people around the country and around the world, to be voices, to be bold, and to be advocates. And I know that when I look back on my life, the things that I was unmovable about are probably the things I'll be the proudest when I look back. Surely, if we're given the opportunity to live a long life, surely there's going to be things that we're going to look back on and be glad that we were who we were, did what we did, said what we said, made a difference, and yeah. So anyway, y'all, I watched most people know that I love documentaries. So I watched the last couple of nights. I watched that The Biggest Loser on Netflix. My God, what a crock of shit all that was, And just to give you a little insight of Ava and I's relationship, I'm laying in bed and I'm just got it on low, and we like to have the TV on like a something documentary or something like it. And we don't just sit there and we're focused on it. We're on TikTok and we're talking and we're just still watching it, but it's kind of, in the background, like white noise. But that girl Jillian that was on there, they got the gay trainer Bob somebody's on there. He seemed like an asshole to me, to tell you the truth. And I think she's a lesbian. Lesbian gay people can be such assholes, can't they? But that girl Jillian that was always screaming at them and Ava's sitting there and she ain't even paying no attention. She's MAGA, Trumper. And I'm like, well, I didn't like her anyhow. You didn't have to tell me that. Yeah, it was all basically. Then I seen on Entertainment Tonight that she's already lawyered up, coming after TikTok and all these people that's made this thing, because it made her to look like the devil. So, but anyway, y'all, so I watched that the last couple of days, and the Biggest Loser. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's not gold in them bare heels, they used to say. But anyway, I'm just sitting around, not doing nothing here at the house by myself. Tomorrow's already Wednesday. I feel like this week's gonna get by and I ain't got nothing done. Not nothing of any substance. Sometimes you have them weeks where you feel like a gerbil in a wheel, where you're just running around. You ain't going nowhere. You ain't getting nothing done. So, hello over there, all you people. Good evening to you over on TikTok. It's starting to get dark here in Atlanta. Yeah. Let me turn this around right here. And so I guess we'll finish with this right here. What a bunch of foolishness this whole Trump thing with Ukraine is. Do y'all get the feeling that Ukraine's about to really get screwed over real bad? I'll just finish with this. To me, Trump is such an embarrassment to our country, just such an embarrassment. He is such a buffoon, just an ignorant buffoon, And how in the world these people that was so MAGA and Trumpy and voted for him, it's just hard to believe, isn't it? Hard to believe they thought that was a good man, And good Lord, I could imagine. It would be so wonderful if John McCain was president right now. And yeah, it would. But wouldn't it be wonderful if John McCain was president right now? Could you imagine him grabbing Putin by his hands and holding him and acting like he's so tickled and giving him all that applause and rolling out red carpets? John McCain would tell him, you're going to get out of Ukraine or we're going to push you out of Ukraine. Trump's such an embarrassment to the on the world stage. Everybody in every country on earth, every leader of every country of Europe, they know he's an idiot. They know he's an idiot, but he's the most powerful idiot in the world. And they have to play his idiot game of almost bowing down to kiss his ring and appease them. And he's so stupid, you have to manipulate him to try to get him to do what you want him to. What an idiot. It's an embarrassment, isn't it? Just an embarrassment. So that's enough of the politics for the night. So anyway, y'all, good evening, everybody. I'm going to head on out of here. Ava will probably get home about 11 o'clock tonight. And I've got my eye doctor appointment tomorrow. And then I'm going over to work on the Key Road house for a little bit tomorrow afternoon. And yeah. So anyhow, love y'all. Let me get off of here.